3.75 centimeters is all I can offer. No, I don't think it's small. I'd say it's pretty average. Hello, today I welcome you to my world of watches, and in this video I'm going to show you pretty much everything about this Invicta Prodiver 8932. Let's see what it's all about. So today I have yet another Rolex Submariner homage to show you. So far we've looked at the Pagani Design PD1661 and also the Casio MDV106, aka Duro, both of which were sub-homages. And now we have this, the Invicta Prodiver 8932, and I have to say, out of the three, this is the only one that is staying in my collection. Well, at least for now. There are a lot of positive things that I can say about this watch, but there are also quite a few negatives that I'll mention, so I don't want to waste your time. Let's take a look at it. I'm not going to talk about the packaging much, as it comes in a standard yellow Invicta box, very nicely made, keeps the watch safe, and has quite a nice presentation if you want to gift this watch, for example. So as always, we are starting with the measurements. We got a 37.5mm case size, not including the crown, 41mm if included, 47mm lug to lug, 11.5mm thick, 18mm lug width, and sized up for my 7-inch wrist, it weighs 116 grams. I have to admit that I picked this one up pre-owned just for this review, but then was attracted to the rather modest size. I find that 37.5mm on my wrist with this design just feels right. I reviewed the Seiko SNK 803 back in the day, which was 37mm, and it just looked too small for my wrist, and that's only a 0.5mm difference, but as I've said, I think it's because of the shape of this watch. Also, you have to consider the fact that I'm 6'5", so in general I tend to gravitate to bigger watches. Another key point of which I like the watch was the bracelet. You can get this watch for $53 on Amazon, even though the MSRP is $395. And it comes with a rather decent bracelet. When the watch costs this much, oftentimes you already think of the band replacements while it's on your way to your house, but on this one it is not the case. You get polished middle links, brushed outer links, a pressed glass with Invicta logo, hollow end links, and push pins. There's just enough flexibility to make it more comfortable on wrist without making it too rattly. And in my opinion, Rolex Submariners look the best on bracelets, but then again, I'm a bracelet guy, so maybe that is why. The polished middle links might be a negative for some as they scratch up with time, but for some, scratches add character. The case back is rather simple, screw down, Invicta logo and the model number engraved, and also other common writings. Again, I have no complaints on the finishing of the case, polished sides and brushing on top of the lugs. Now, one thing that catches the eye is the large Invicta engraving on the side, which a lot of people find unnecessary, and I do too, considering the fact that there are more than 15 places that say Invicta on this watch. On the side, on the dial, on the case back, on the clasp, and on the inside of each individual link of the bracelet, so I don't think that the engraving on the side is really needed. So that is something to note. While we're at the case, I want to mention the fact that Invicta claims this watch has 200 meters of water resistance, though it doesn't have a screw-down crown, so Invicta.
Are you sure about that?
Although I do have to mention that I took this watch when I went for a holiday to Egypt and took it to the ocean. Even though it was a light swim, it survived just fine. Now the bezel is another place that I find quite problematic, and I think it is because it's a scallop bezel rather than a standard coinage bezel. Even with dry hands it tends to be very hard to turn, and when the watch is wet it becomes close to impossible to do it. I can't say for a fact that the coinage bezel would be better, but I think it would turn easier. It is aluminum, 120 click, and there's no backplate, so that is nice, and also there's a Lume pip at the top. The dial is covered with a mineral crystal and has a cyclops. I already have a couple of minor scratches, and more will eventually come as this is kind of a beater watch for me. The cyclops seems to be magnifying how it should and doesn't look out of place, even though it looks quite small because of the diameter of the glass. By now you probably have already noticed that the second hand is ticking, and indeed this watch uses a quartz movement, hence the size, and it seems to be pretty accurate. The good thing is that the second hand hits every single marker. Finally, we come to the dial, and one thing that I want to mention right away is that at first I really didn't like the so-called nipple markers. They used to come on older Rolex models, and then they were changed to the maxi dial markers. but through the time that I've had this watch, I came to like them, and I think that the maxi ones would actually look a bit out of place. Again, we have classic Mercedes hands. The second hand has an Invicta logo at the bottom, which is a nice touch. Then there's an Invicta name and logo up top, and the basic writings at the bottom. The dial itself is matte, so really there's not much to mention, and it is just a simple black dial. I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull up a Lume shot, as my camera is not the best for filming in the dark, but the Lume is very minimal, fades quickly, and isn't that strong. So finally, my conclusion on this timepiece. In my opinion, for me at least, it is one of the best beater watches that I've came across. It is just a perfect size, it doesn't get in the way of your daily activities, it does what it needs to do, you can safely take it to the water and not worry about it, and it being a classic Submariner style, it goes with pretty much everything. And of course, there are places where this watch could be improved, like the bezel and the crown, which really doesn't raise confidence, but you can't really expect everything on a $50 watch, so I think it's all good. So would I recommend it? I'd say yes. Definitely one of the best options for around $50, and I think you wouldn't be disappointed. And as always, I would like to hear your thoughts on this timepiece, so make sure to comment down below. And if you like my video, please leave a like and also consider subscribing and hitting that little bell so you'll get notified when I upload a new video. And now thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.